and development in Nigeria and around the world. Here we're going to talk about the Saturday election in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. How that election has confirmed that the 2027 general election should not even take place if these people are not ready, or Nigeria shouldn't participate in it unless the government itself is ready for electronic transmission of the results. What we witnessed on Saturday, February 21st, 2026, was a sham election. FCT has never had it this bad. FCT, the Federal Capital Territory Abuja, has never had it this bad. And we are going to show you the reason why I think that the 2027 election, from what we have seen from the FCT election, will be a waste of time of Nigerians to participate in it under the present condition. This is because if what was witnessed on Saturday is the way forward, then what we are practicing is not democracy. What we are practicing is just mere dictatorship clothed in civilian attire. That is basically what we have in Nigeria. If this election is what we are to expect in 2027, because this election in Abuja has exposed both the Independent National Electoral Commission and the APC. This is because all the things we feared about the new Electoral Act manifested in this election clearly. It was a rigging, the type of which this country has never witnessed before. And it happened in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And the rigging came in different dimensions. We're going to look at all the dimensions in this live. You can see, as I'm talking to you now, the light has gone off. And this is the APC government that people supposedly elected their chairmanship candidates to office. The truth of the matter is that the 2027 election, the opposition better get their acts right. The 2027 election, they should insist that that election must not hold without the mandatory transmission of result. Get this message across to Peter Obi. Get this message across to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Get this message across to the opposition leaders. They should begin to tell the world now that this 2027 election will not take place, that they will not participate in it without the mandatory transmission of results. Let them begin to sound the warning now. Let them not try to be politically correct. There is nothing to be politically correct right now. All the gloves should be off. If this election that happened in Abuja, which is a signpost of what is to come, is the way forward, Peter Obi should not participate. Atiku Abubakar should not participate. The major opposition leaders in Nigeria should boycott. They should begin to tell the world now. It is the time now for Peter Obi, for Atiku Abubakar, for the opposition leaders to begin to sound an alarm to the world that they will not participate in the 2027 election. All they need to do is show the world what happened in Abuja on Saturday, February 21st, and remind them of Nigeria's history with election rigging. What we witnessed was a confirmation of why the court in Canada declared APC a terrorist organization. Have you forgotten that a court in Canada declared APC a terrorist organization? We saw it in plain sight. We saw it in all the violence that characterized the election in Abuja on Saturday. So this shouldn't be seen as that there will be any difference. If Peter Obi, if Atiku Abubakar, if Rotimi Kameji, if Kwankwaso, if El-Rufai, if people like the former governor of Sokoto State, if they think that there will be anything different from what we saw on Saturday in 2027, they are joking. So the only language these people understand is for them to be forcefully told now, and INEC be reminded that the election they will be preparing in 2027 is just for Tinubu to participate. And Nigerians must be serious about it. They must be serious about it. Unless there's an amendment to the Electoral Act insisting on mandatory transmission of the result, the opposition leaders should begin to tell the world now, this is not a question of lamenting by through press statements, that the gloves are off. So if they are serious, it is to sound the alarm now that they will not participate in 2027 election. Let them begin to tell the world now. Let them begin to sing it as a song that they will not participate in the 2027 election unless the transmission of the result is made mandatory. Boycott of election is a civil disobedience. I'm seeing you over say INEC chairman must be dismissed and replaced. A lot of Nigerians, most Nigerians will agree with you. So they must insist. This one is suggesting that the INEC chairman should be sacked. His first litmus test, he failed woefully. So I'm not surprised that people will call for his sack, that he shouldn't be the one to conduct the election. So the truth of the matter remains. Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Tambawar, the former governor of Sokoto State, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, El-Rufai, all the opposition leaders, they must begin to say it now that they will not participate, in the 2027 election. Let the world begin to hear them now. Let them begin to sing it as a song. Let Tinubu and Akpabio, let them begin to know it now that 2027 election, that the opposition will not participate unless the amendment to the Electoral Act is amended again and ensure that the mandatory transmission of result is what is going to happen in 2027. If you are just joining us, please, we thank you for joining, and we want you to like this video. Okay, that's one of the ways you can support us, by liking the video, because it doesn't cost you anything to like this video. So we want people, as you join, I've seen you, you are there. Just like the video support this channel by liking it. It doesn't cost you a penny to like this video. If you are happy with what we are doing, if you think that Nigeria is okay the way it is, if you think that what APC did on Saturday and INEC was good for the country, you don't need to like this video, okay? But if you believe that what they did was wrong and that a new Nigeria is what should be created, that a new Nigeria is possible, that we cannot continue the way we are, and that what happened on Saturday was a sham election. FCT has never seen anything like it. President Tinubu is not the first person to be president of Nigeria. Yeso Wike is not the first person to be FCT minister. Yeso Wike should go and check the records. He is not the first FCT minister, and he will not be the last. There will be many after him. You should go and check their record. Never in the history of FCT has the kind of sham election that was conducted on Saturday happened. That is a fact. So now we're going to look at why many people should insist on the electronic transmission of result. So we're going to look at some of the observed shortcomings in the last FCT election and why many are demanding that there's no point conducting 2027 election without the mandatory transmission of the result. That is it. If you don't do mandatory transmission of the result, what is the basis for conducting the election? They can as well announce Tinubu succeeding himself. And INEC don't have to waste taxpayers' money conducting the election. They can as well crown him the president and commander-in-chief. After all, this wouldn't be the first time this kind of idea is mooted. Do you remember that when Abacha wanted to transmute from military to civilian, he had a lot of political parties endorsing him the way they are endorsing Tinubu today? Okay? If he had been alive, perhaps what we witnessed was an election in which Abacha will emerge as civilian president. But if what we are practicing is democracy, if what we are practicing is rule of law, there is no way 2027 election is going to change this country, because already what we witness in the FCT is an indication of what is coming. So it will be foolish of the opposition to participate in 2027 election without mandatory transmission of results. We're not saying that the mandatory transmission of results is like a silver bullet, but anything that could make Tinubu not to want it means that it is good for the country. Anything that makes Akpabio not to want it, it means it is good for the country. Anything that makes the APC not to want it, it means it is good for the country. The mandatory transmission of results is, in my thinking, is the tablet that will cure the APC disease in Nigeria. That's what I think. Anything short of that, then Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, all these opposition leaders, they'll just be wasting their time. They will be wasting their time in 2027. If this is what they will participate in and think that Tinubu will be defeated, then they are jokers. They are jokers. Even the civil society organizations, if what happened in Abuja is what they will promote, thinking that INEC will change, that the INEC will offer anything different from what it had offered in Abuja. Then the civil society organizations are also part of the problem of Nigeria. Now, there are some issues beyond the mandatory electronic transmission of results that need to be addressed. But it also relates to the issue of the mandatory transmission of results. For instance, one of the things that was identified in the last election in Abuja was the extremely low voter turnout. Extremely low voter turnout. Why did it happen? For the first time in the history of Abuja, Nyesom Wike imposed a curfew. No minister has ever imposed a curfew in the Federal Capital Territory election. Now, what did that do? It was a deliberate ploy to disenfranchise ordinary voters in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Nobody has ever come up with this evil, genius idea of stopping people from coming out, like the APC and Nyesom Wike have done. Okay? Look, Abuja is very expensive. Most of the registered voters in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, they don't live inside Abuja. Most of the voters that vote in AMAC or Abuja Municipal Area Council election, they don't live in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Many of them live in the outskirts. They live in Nyanya area. They live in several parts of adjoining communities to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, because of the high rent. That high rent in Abuja is not justified. It's only justified in the sense that Abuja is the center of corruption in Nigeria. So all the public officers have stolen a lot of money and they use it to buy and develop properties. And those properties, they put it at the rent that is beyond the average worker who is receiving 30,000 minimum wage, now 70,000 minimum wage. And that 70,000 minimum wage of today is less than the 30,000 minimum wage that was paid a few years ago under Buhari. Okay, please don't forget to like this video, like it, share it, let others participate in this discussion, because we need people to understand what is going on. So because of the high cost of living in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, most of the workers in the FCT, they live on the outskirts. So what the Nyesom Wike and co do, they allegedly block these people from coming out on Saturday to enter the city to come and vote. So when people talk about the low turnout, we know there is a low turnout generally in Nigeria. If you look at the number of registered voters in Nigeria and those that participate in the election, there is low voter turnout. But that is not only applicable to Nigeria. That is a universal fact. Not even in the United States, that is the beacon of democracy, do you have very high turnout. Okay? Not even there do you have very high voter turnout. But in the case of Nigeria, people have lost confidence in the electoral system. I can tell you for free, if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC had amended the Electoral Act for mandatory transmission of results, the result of the FCT election would have been different. More people would have been encouraged to come out to vote. More people would have been rushing to register to vote. So the voter apathy we saw is attributable to lack of confidence in the electoral process, lack of confidence in INEC, lack of confidence in those who ought to hold people accountable. Imagine on the eve of the election, Nyesom Wike was captured on viral video telling supporters of APC, telling the APC chairmanship candidate in Amak that he should just do his own part on Saturday and leave the rest for him. What are the rest? Did anybody sanction him? Instead, what we have was Tinubu congratulating him after the election and saying that it was Nyesom Wike's work in Abuja. That was why APC swept the whole place, with the exception of PDP getting one state, one council. APC swept the whole council. Tinubu is congratulating him. He's congratulating him because Nyesom Wike stopped people from coming out from the Nyanya angle and several other places by putting restriction on movement. Do you know that before Nyesom Wike and Tinubu, elections are held in the FCT like in advanced societies. Election will be taking place, people will be doing, those who are participating in election will be participating, those who have other things that will be doing their thing. You wouldn't even know, you wouldn't even notice. But all those braggadocio that they are known for when they conduct local government elections in Rivers State and in all this, that's what APC has now transferred into Abuja under Tinubu. Even Buhari, no matter what you can say about Buhari, it is now becoming obvious that Buhari was a better Democrat than Tinubu. It is sad to say, with all the credentials, all the claims that Tinubu was fought for democracy. Buhari never fought for democracy and they didn't have to make noise about it. But his government conducted better elections than Tinubu will ever conduct. So the best option for the opposition is to demand that they will not participate. Only a boycott threat now. And it's not just boycott threat that they will just stop. They should insist that unless mandatory transmission of results is enshrined in that Electoral Act, that they will not participate. That is the only language Tinubu understands now. That is the only language. And the only way they can do it effectively is to begin to say it now, to begin to demand it now. It is not for them to start blaming themselves on what happened on Saturday. No. What happened on Saturday was purely the failure of INEC and the failure of Tinubu and Nyesom Wike in showing the world that Nigeria is indeed a democracy. That's what I've seen. I didn't see any other thing. So the voter turnout was largely a creation. The low voter turnout, it was unprecedented this time around under Tinubu and Nyesom Wike. That low voter turnout was a man-made low voter turnout. We know that ordinarily, many people that register to vote do not vote. There is no debate about that. But what you cannot take away is that the low voter turnout in the FCT was a creation of the Tinubu administration and Nyesom Wike by the things they brought into the picture that were never there. Do you know that before Tinubu and Nyesom Wike came to Abuja, council election used to take place in the Federal Capital Territory? You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. So let that sink in. So beyond the demand that the next election must be conducted mandatorily with electronic transmission of results, That voter turnout was part of the alleged manipulation to disenfranchise the sovereign voters of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Okay, that's it. I'm seeing you, Henry Kebo, Obosi. Yeah, good morning, sir. Yeah, good morning, bros. I see you. I see you. So, don't blame the low voter turnout on Nigerians. Blame it on what Yesowike and Co did by restricting movement, by blocking interest to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. When most of the workers, they registered at the point of their business. There are many people who live in the outskirts of Abuja because the city center, Abuja Municipal Council, rent is extremely on the extreme. So these people, they register their place of work, pulling unit around there. Because most of the time, the only chance they have to register is from their workplace. They walk or go to register to vote. They register to vote close to their office. Many of these people are private organizations, works for private organizations, individuals. You block them out and all that. But that was not only the problem with the last election issue in Abuja. There was also widespread vote buying. Now, vote buying has become a disease in Nigeria. But we have never had vote buying, the kind of which we are hearing about in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, under the Tinubu administration. We've never had this kind of vote buying. This was unprecedented. It's like a world record. In the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the center of unity, those things they are doing in Rivers, they have transferred it to Abuja. Those things they were doing in Lagos, they have transferred it to Abuja. And that is troubling. Ask yourself, between the ADC, you said, do you think there will be free and fair election? Of course, there will be no free and fair election in Abuja or in the whole country based on what happened in Abuja. It was asking whether from what I observed in the last election in Abuja, whether there will be free and fair election. There will be no free and fair election. What you saw in Abuja is what you're going to see nationwide. That's what you're going to see nationwide across the country. I'm telling you the gospel truth. So anybody who is thinking that what happened in Abuja is an isolated incident, that person is a joker. That person is a joker. He is joking. Okay? The person is joking. Please, before we go further on this point I'm talking about, but please, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to like this live so that more people will be able to see this video. So just like this video, share this video as we go ahead, so that more people will participate in what we are discussing and listening to it. Like I said earlier on, share this video widely. Let the opposition leaders see it. Let them begin to sound that note of warning that they will not participate in 2027 election. By what they have seen in Abuja, by the Sham election in Abuja, that they will not participate in 2027 election. And let the world begin to hear them now. Let the world begin to hear them now. it has gone, what is going on now has gone beyond statements from Peter Obi, from Atiku Abubakar, from Rotimi Kamechi, from Kwankwaso, and all the other leaders, including Erufai and co. What is unfolding before our eyes is that let that warning begin to be out there. Let it begin to appear on the newspapers now. Let it begin to appear on the radios now. Let it begin to appear in international media now. That the opposition in Nigeria say they will not participate in 2027 election unless the Electoral Act is amended and it is enshrined inside it that there will be mandatory transmission of result without any provision whatsoever. That is the only way. I see you. I see you. Yeah, I see you. I see you. So the opposition begin to make it now clear. Anybody in the opposition who think that 2027 there is any magical thing that will change from what we saw in Abuja and what we saw in Rivers State and in Kano, where they held by election, that person will be wasting his time. You will be wasting your time if you are in the opposition and you are thinking that this election will be different from 2027 election as presently constituted, as based on this Electoral Act Amendment that Tinubu has signed into law. If you are thinking it will be different, then you are wasting your time. Then you don't know politics. You don't know what is going on. You are not even ready to take out the APC from the equation and ensure that Tinubu return back to Lagos, to his ball and dawn, and years on weekend, held accountable for what he did, both in Rivers State and in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Okay, now the issue of vote buying had come up. Of all the political parties that participated in that Sham election, which party do you think will be able to have money to buy voters? Do you think that ADC will buy voters? Do you think that PDP will buy voters? Who among the major parties has the war chest to buy voters? Even the so-called arrest of those who came to buy votes and all that. Do you think that will go anywhere? It's not going to go anywhere. So the report of people being paid up to 10,000 or more shows that only the APC could have the capacity to buy votes. Is it the impoverished, disorganized PDP that will be able to give somebody 10,000 to vote in the FCT election? Is it the PDP that will be able to buy vote? Is it the new coalition ADC that are still trying to see how they can be able to manage themselves to become a formidable force? Are they the ones that will give you 10,000, 20,000 to buy vote? You know, there are some things, when you hear it, you know that only APC has the capacity to buy votes. So if the election of Saturday was, yeah, Henry, I've seen you. Henry, I've seen you. Yeah, he said the election is giving him stress, Nigerian election. Of course. So if you are talking about the vote buying, it's only APC that could buy votes. They are the only one that has the war chest. They have all the resources. They are the ones that know that they don't have the support of the Nigerian people. Okay? So they are the ones that are likely to be the major vote buyers. I don't see anybody. When I look at the candidates of the ADC, okay, look at Moses Paul. Is it Moses Paul that will give you 10,000 to go and vote for ADC? Or 20,000? Is it the person? Is it this SDP candidate, this comedian that used to act like Buhari before? Is that guy the one that will give you 10,000, give you 20,000 to go and vote for him? All these things are just mere drama. Okay? We know that it's only the APC that can be able to have the kind of money to throw around to buy votes. So that is part of the things that people are talking about. The election being a sham election. And you also notice there was issues of ballot paper snatching, violence, and all these things. These things were never part of the characteristics of FCT election until Tinubu and Yesomike entered Abuja and took charge. Okay, so all these things, they all point to one direction, that the FCT election is a mirror of 2027, and that if the opposition does not do something about it, because the truth of the matter is this: the opposition does not have the numbers in the National Assembly to be able to change the Electoral Act to insist on mandatory transmission of result. But when even the APC themselves, when they discover and when it is obvious that the major opposition leaders, the major opposition parties will not participate in a sham 2027 election, because if the 2027 election is conducted under the same Electoral Act without the mandatory transmission of result, it will be as shambolic as the FCT election. That's how it's going to be. So the opposition have to begin to send that note of warning that they will not participate. They should be organizing themselves. They should be preparing for the election. But they should make it clear that they will not participate unless there's mandatory transmission of result. It is important for them to begin to reach out to the foreign embassies across Nigeria, telling them that 2027 election will not hold as far as they are concerned without the mandatory transmission of result. So that they begin to wire their countries. They begin to send message to their countries that Nigeria's democracy is not working. There is a threat to Nigerian democracy. The Nigerian democracy is in danger because the opposition said they will not participate. They should also remind them that what they are now doing is incarceration of opposition leaders. Any opposition leader who speaks, they round the person up and go and bring up issues that concern that person in the past. So they have weaponized the EFCC and security agencies. So these are things they begin to do. I can tell you for free, if Tinubu is in the position of the opposition right now, what I'm telling you is what Tinubu will be doing. So they better know it, that there is no gentleman. When Tinubu was saying that power is not served a la carte, you grab it, you snatch it, you run with it. That is exactly what happened in Abuja on Saturday. But if you do not want to grab it, snatch it, and run with it, you must be able to have a backup. And that backup is to sound it clearly. I can tell you for free, if the opposition come together strongly and boycott the 2027 election without the mandatory transmission of results enshrined in the Constitution, enshrined in the Electoral Act, even himself, whatever happened to him after the election, whatever happens, he will know that he doesn't have the mandate of the Nigerian people. If the opposition leaders can stand and boycott the election, unless there is a mandatory transmission of results, even if INEC eventually announce him as the winner, he will be operating, but he will know that he's standing on one leg like Abacha. Okay? These things must sink in. He will know that he is standing on one leg like Abacha. Once the Nigerian people are properly motivated and mobilized by the opposition, and the opposition made it clear that these Nigerians will not participate in the 2027 election, INEC can write the results and announce Tinubu. We don't care. That will finish the APC as a political party, and that will reset this country. That is the only language now left for the opposition. Anything short of that, anything short of insisting that mandatory transmission of results must be included in the Electoral Act is a waste of time. To participate in 2027 election is a waste of time. I think that the opposition will be embarrassing themselves to participate. They will be mocking you people. They have already bought up the social media, unleashed their attack dogs. Even with all the imperfection of this FCT election, their e-rats are already everywhere, insulting people, insulting the opposition leaders. But that is understandable, because whether you like it or not, the people themselves, there was a saying that somebody, I couldn't remember the person who said it, but he said that he would have liberated more slaves if only the slaves themselves knew that they were slaves. So you have so many slaves on social media who didn't even know that they are slaves. So they are attacking, insulting opposition leaders and all that over the outcome of the Sham election. They think that they won the election, and their e-rats are everywhere insulting people. So the truth of the matter is, the ball is now in the court of the opposition leaders. Are they going to stand by and walk into this trap? Because anything that they do now, anything that they do in participating in this election, the highest thing they will do to them is they will tell them, go to court. go to court. I saw the chairman of PDP. Okay, I think his name is Turaki or so. The chairman of PDP saying they are mobilizing their legal team to challenge the outcome of the Abuja election. Why do you need to waste resources? I know that PDP is not government in power. It has few governors. Why do you need to waste the resources of PDP saying you are setting up a legal team? A legal team for what? For what? The court of Nigeria, the way it's constituted now, you think any court will save PDP? Even that small one they allow you people to collect in Gwagwalada, they will snatch it. Because even you, Turaki, they say you are not the recognized PDP chairman. So, and you are the one that signed his form. If they are, it's only Tinubu that will tell you, so we can don't go further with it, just allow them so that let it appear that there was at least opposition was giving one council. I'm just telling you the truth. Yes, we can obtain that result by going to the courts to show that that candidate, his form was signed by Turaki, whose emergence as national chairman in Ibadan convention of the party that was allegedly not approved. And that's the end of that mandate in Gwagwalada. You are going to court for what? There's no point going to court. That's one of the things they will love you to do. There's no point going to court. What the PDP national chairman should be doing is to be connecting with the opposition leaders to begin to talk about boycotting the 2027 election, unless the Senate and the House of Representatives again amend the Electoral Act and enshrine into that section 63 that there will be mandatory transmission of result without any provision. Mandatory transmission. We have the capacity to transmit the result. Nigeria has the capacity, the coverage, everything. So there's nothing like proviso that is needed. The election must be transmitted real time. Real time. That is the only language Tinubu understands. That is the only language that can make it, in which there is hope in the opposition. Anything short of that, the opposition will just be, they will be joking. They will be joking if they think that what will happen in 2027 will be different from what happened in Abuja. Then they need to think again about any serious plan to change Tinubu. They can as well forget about campaigning. That is the truth. They can as well forget about campaigning for 2027 election. Because what you saw in Abuja is what you're going to get nationwide. And at the end of the day, they will tell you to go to court. Go to court. So that's why I brought up the issue of PDP. They say they have set up a legal team. I found it amusing that you have to waste your time going to court. To do what? To do what? To challenge the Sham election. Just leave them. What you must do is to ensure that it doesn't happen in 2027. That what happened on Saturday does not repeat itself. And that, my friend, is to ensure and begin to make it clear that the APC, I see you, yeah. I see, okay, you are having doubt about the capacity of mandatory transmission of results. Okay, but let us have it. Let us have it. It's good for people to say, oh, the mandatory transmission of results may not guarantee the free and fair election in 2027, but let us have it. Let us have it. Let it be there. Let us practice it. The former INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, said we can do it. And we have done it in other elections, off-season elections. We have done it in 2020. We have been doing it. We can do it. So the idea that the frustration this guy is feeling, that from what he saw in Abuja, that I don't even think that transmission of results electronically in real time will save the, no, it will save the, if it will not save the situation, Tinubu and co would have added it. The reason they were prevaricating over it and eventually struck it out was because they know that that will be the game changer. They know it. They know it, that that will be the game changer. If it will not be the game changer, Tinubu would have approved it. Senate would have approved it. So Nigerian people must now insist that they must add it without provision. And that is the only way to go. That is the future. That is the future. If not, just forget about it. The opposition should forget about it. They shouldn't even waste people's time. Because the idea of saying you want to replace Tinubu, as incompetent as Tinubu is, as incompetent as the APC is,